Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get everybody in here. Let's get everybody in here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in to the Coach Todd Show, hosted by me, Coach Todd. Welcome in. Oh, shoot, I ain't got these guys in here. All right, we're in here. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Good morning. I know, early morning Coach Todd Show. It's kind of weird to be on here this early, but hey, we're here. I had a lot of news break in the last couple days, especially with everybody, everyone, entering in the portal, not portal, but, draft day, Columbine and all, a lot of stuff's going on right now. And, I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and, hop in here and talk about this and talk about what is actually going on. What players do we see coming back? What players do we see not coming back? It's a busy day for sports. So first and foremost, I want to say welcome in, everybody. Hope everyone is having a great morning. So sorry for not going live yesterday morning. I had to do yesterday night. Some things happened. I had to make sure that everything was good. So we pretty much now are, we're good to go. So thank y'all so much for everything. But let's get into it. Let's go ahead and start breaking this stuff down because I'm trying to keep it kind of under an hour today. That's the goal today, is under an hour, but we'll see. We'll talk. But first thing on everyone's agenda is, what is Malachi Moreno going to do? Now, let's talk about that first and foremost. Let's talk about what is the situation. From everything we have seen and everything we have heard is that, his name is skyrocketing. Now, you can say, hey, Ty, well, if he's toward the end of that, the first round, 25, 26, 27, 28, if he's like in that, wouldn't it make more sense for him to come back and get a bag? Now, I can see that. I can totally understand where people are coming from when they talk about, does he want to come back and get a bag? You got to think of it two ways, and this is where you gotta think of it kind of in his perspective just a tad bit. Is, do you come back and let's say you don't have a good of season that you did last year that kind of shocked some people? Because let's be all the way honest. I mean, you can say what you want. Let's be all the way honest. If you would have told me this time last year that he was potentially be a first round pick, I would have told you was crazy. And that is nothing against him. That is nothing against that young man right there. But if you would have told me, hey, this young man is going to be a first round pick, I don't care if it's the last of the first round, middle, lottery, whatever, I would have told you was crazy. I literally would have told you was crazy. So for him to take this big of a step and this big of a leap in just one season, bravo to him, claps to him, all respect. So now, do you capitalize on that? And let's say it is the Knicks. You had the conversation. You say it's the Knicks, and you look where they're at, and they're saying, "Hey, listen, we will stick with you if you stick with us, and we'll pick you." Okay. So then you look at the flip side. Do I want to come back home and potentially lead lead a pretty good team and see how far we go? If we don't do well, I might drop in draft stock. That's where, it's kind of tricky. I can't, it's 50-50. Do I think he's coming back? At this point, guys, I'll be all the way honest. I don't know. I can tell you he's coming back. The selfish me would love to see him come back and play, in Rupp Arena for another year. But the other side of me is like, man, if this is what you want to do, this is what you want to do, and capitalize on your momentum and go get that. A lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people are going to be like, well, no, I think, he can come back and, skyrocket to, a lottery pick. Okay. He comes back, and let's say he does have a lottery pick. He skies up to a lottery pick. All right, cool. That's great. But there's also that other chance. It's like a really big gamble where you really don't know. You got to kind of trust yourself. And to be honest, do you trust this roster coming up to improve your draft stock? Let's just say you do come back and the roster is good, but the roster, you're probably middle of the pack. You might average a little bit more rebounds, get that 15, 15 foot shot, maybe shoot a couple threes, expand your game. Okay, cool. That's great. But let's say you have a cold year, and I wish nothing but success for the young man, but let's say you have a cold year. Didn't you go from lottery back down to where you were instead of going to the league right now and just working on your game nonstop? Now, you got to look at it both ways. You got to kind of look at it, on that side. You got to look at the other side. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a really hard decision because you're on that line. Now, if you was in the lottery or maybe like, right on the cusp of the lottery, then I'd be like, man, go. You don't need to come back. Just go. Get up out of here. So kind of being on that cusp of the first round is a weird area to be. But if I'm him, that's a really rough decision because as a Kentucky kid, you kind of want to come back and, play for the home team. You kind of want to, you love this area. So, I mean, it's a rough decision for him. I would love to, when he went into the draft, when I heard he was going to the draft and wanting to see what did they think he needed to work on? That was the thing what was the things he needs to work on? And we all saw it. He needs to be a little bit more mobile. He needs to be able to shoot the 15-footer all the way to the three. Not really, at a high clip, but being able to hit that, take more than two to three dribbles outside the 3-point line where you can, you're a little bit more agile. You can get to the rim and then, get stronger, especially, with those hands, get those hands, be able to take the contact and finish through people. That's kind of what I thought, they was going to say, and then, come back next year and we'll be even better. But once I started hearing like, oh, these guys really like him, I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, well, that's great that they like him, and I'm excited to hear that they like him. But I didn't know it was going to be to this. Like I said, if you told me last season, before the season started, that this young man would be in not a lottery pick, but a first-round pick, I told everyone to go jump a bridge. I'd be all the way. I was like, get up out of here. That young man ain't gonna be that man gonna be here 3 years, and then he has a shot at the league. But hey, that young man worked his butt off and got to where he is at now. Now, what scares me is I don't think you can. Let's look at the worst case scenario. Let's look at the worst case scenario. I don't think now thinking about it, because I had Wireman ask me this the last show, was like, hey, what do you think if he does go? What do you think about this roster? Now, if you don't get anybody else, and you don't get a stud, you don't get any of those players, and you get this roster, do I think Frank can play 25 minutes? I don't think so. I don't think Frank can play 25 minutes just off the strength of, injuries and stuff like that. So you're going to have to play a little bit more small ball. You're going to have to play a little bit more faster. Frank could come in a good 15 to 20 minutes. I think Frank would be fine. In my opinion, if Frank can play 15 to 20 minutes, he will be perfectly fine. Yes, the injury bugs and all of that, whatever. But if you play 15 to 20 minutes, he'll be okay. He'll be able to, block shots. I want to see him improve his touch around the rim. Yes, he is, older than me and you. Yes, he does have, a lot of, wear and tear on his body. But I do think that if we can get, a little bit more softer touch around the rim, protect him in, those minutes where, okay, run him a couple minutes, get him out of here. I think we'll be okay. But if we demand that man to play 25 to 30 minutes, I do not see that that man actually playing 25 to 30 minutes. I just don't see it. There's unless he is in tip top shape, an amazing shape, back 100%. I just don't see that young man playing 25, 30 minutes anymore. Like, I just don't. Now, you can say, hey, yeah, I can see that. I can, definitely see him play that. Well, I hope he does. I hope he has a unbelievable season. Then, if you think about it, who is your backup now? Reese Potter? I don't, that is scary. That right there scares me. None against Reese Potter, Lexington Catholic alum. I don't see Reese Potter being a good backup for a national contending team, which they are not. But I'm just saying, if that's the standard we want to hold, you can't have Reese Potter as your backup. You just can't. You're going to have somebody out there. I mean, somebody in that can come into this program and be the true backup if he doesn't come back. Now, you can go small ball. You can go, a lot of ways where you can go, and I'll go on a little a side quest for a second. I watched there was an interview with Braden's father, and I want to say Cam's father. And Braden's father said, "Hey, we're going to shock some people. We're going to be able to do some things that people don't. Do some things that people ain't really going to. Do some things that people don't expect." And I love that. I love hearing that from his father. But until we see it, we're just going on words. We're just going on, what we hear, not what we see. We don't get to see practice every day. These fans don't get to see practice. We can only go by what we heard of him, thrashing everybody one-on-one. And that's great. And I hope when he gets out on that court, he is everything they say he's going to be. I hope so. But as a fan and as a media person plus a coach, I can't put my eggs into that basket until I see him. Once I see it out there and, he's moving and grooving and, that long slanky build and being able to, hit that shot. Okay. Then I'll be like, all right, we got something. But until we see that, I can't go by what I can't go by what anybody technically says until I see it. Now, that doesn't mean nothing against his dad or anything like that. I just think that at the end of the day, we have to see the product. Just like anybody else. You wouldn't buy a car off just a photo or a video of it driving, then you get it, and then next thing you know, it doesn't drive. So it's kind of like what Pope said last year. Pope said, "Hey, I have a Ferrari. I'm ready to give it a test drive," and come to find out, the Ferrari didn't have the engine and it didn't go nowhere. And then when you fixed the engine, it went for like 10 miles and then it broke down again. So I think that's kind of where we're at with that. I think that's kind of like, I want Braden to be good, but I've got to see it. I got to lay eyes. Hey, Braden, thank you so much for the follow. I got to see it. I got to be able to see what is going to happen on the court, not just hearsay. So if Malachi was to leave and Braden is what they say he is and what his dad says it's going to be, he says, don't worry about we don't need a star small forward. If that is the case and that is the best case scenario, then okay, we can play small ball. We can play a little bit of small ball, but I still think if Malachi was to stay in the draft and we don't pick anybody else, then I get a little bit worried. I genuinely don't know if there's anyone else out there that we can get that is on the same. Now let's take what's his name out of it from Iowa State. Let's take him out of it. Let's say he stays. Let's just say he stays. Other than him, I don't see anybody else out there. Braden Bowling, thank you so much for the follow. Tell me if anybody has any suggestions. Tell me, because I don't see anybody else out there that is Malachi even or better. Other than Iowa State, let's take Iowa State out of it. Anybody else? That scares me. Who else can we get? Who else are we going to get? I just don't see it. I don't think. And this is what also scares me. I understand that we do have a lot of bigs. People are saying, "Hey, we got a lot of bigs. We got a lot of bigs." Well, think about it. We got one big, and like I said, I really liked Frank as the pickup. I do like Frank as a pickup because Frank has the motor. Frank has a lot of stuff, but it's kind of that in moderation type thing. You got to have it in moderation. You can't have it all the time. You got to have it in moderation. If you play him 15, 20 minutes, cool. Great. He's going to be just fine. I say 20 at the max. 15 to 18 would probably be the sweet spot for him. That way, you don't risk injury, and we know he's injury prone. He's had a lot of injuries. So that's a sweet spot. Let's take Malachi out. Who are we going to put in there for the rest of it? Reese Potter is nowhere near ready for that, in my opinion. Now, he could have changed his game this offseason and perfectly fine. I'm fine with that. But Reese Potter, I don't think is ready for SEC play. Just don't believe it. I could be wrong, and nothing against Reese. Coached against him at Creek, have nothing against Reese, but I don't think he's ready for SEC play yet. So now when people say we have a lot of bigs, do we really have a lot of bigs? You can play Usman on the wing and then put a little bit down in the post, spread it out, maybe. But at the end of the day, is it real? Are we really? Is that something we really want to do? To have him down there? It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And honestly, this is going to play out all the way into, I want to say, the week of the 25th. I want to say around the 20. I want to say the 27th or 29th or something like that is when the deadline is happening. So we're not going to know anything until 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks are going to be really, really crucial because they're about as important as, I hate to say this, is going to be terrible. This is kind of a little bit more, it's kind of important like the Tyron Stokes thing. Now, you can say, Todd, no, it's not that big. Well, it really is, because now if we lose Malachi, where do we go from there? Where do we go kind of from that point? And then we don't get Donovic. We don't get him. And then you got your backup big is Reese Potter. And then you got we got Frank, who can only play 15 to 20 minutes. That's rough. That is a rough time. We can play small ball, like I said, but here's the question that we have to ask ourselves. Will small ball really get us far, especially in the NCAA, where everything slows down? That's what people fail to realize. A lot of people don't realize that once regular season play is just up and down the court, up and down the court, up and down the court. It slows down every now and then, but when we get to tournament play, the game slows down, and now it's all about system. It's all about your system. And that's the thing is, small ball can work in some instances, but when we go to a small ball, when we go to small ball and it's the tournament and everything slows down, now you have a lighter big down there, a undersized big down there that is getting, picked on right in and right out. So at what point do you have to stop that? So I don't know. I really think that is going to be a interesting couple weeks. Like I said, that young man has a really, really tough decision, and it's a gamble. It is a gamble that a lot of us would kind of want, but a lot of us kind of wouldn't want. Do you want to come back and play and up your stock? But if you come back and you hurt your stock, now you're in that same position of maybe it's second round, maybe it's mid, like into the first round. It's just it is a rough time. It's a rough decision, not a rough time. It's a rough decision to make. But at the end of the day, I think that I'm very proud of the young man. I'm very proud of him for working hard, doing what he needs to do. Hopefully this summer he's been working on his body, working on getting that strength up, getting everything going. And, at the end of the day, I wish that man, massive, luck. If he stays in the draft or he comes back, I'm here for it. So let's also talk about what Mark Pope said in his last video that I am just like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? So let's talk about what Mark Pope said in, let's see, let me pull it up here. Like I said, I'm to the point where I don't understand what Mark Pope kind of is doing with this, this GM spot. I'm just like, I don't know about this, guys. I just don't know. Let's see here. All right. Let me see if I can play this without. See if I can play this real quick, y'all. Johnny Five, thank you so much for the follow. In the high-paced recruiting of let me go right here. I don't want to. Where's it at? Let me find it. All right, here we go. It's an integral part of the recruiting. Every single one of my assistant coaches is talking to agents at Caden Shearer. All right, here it is right here. Let's talk about this. Would love to see you address who is handling agents and player reps. Feel like we didn't hear that when talking about the general management team. Every single one of my assistant coaches is talking to agents every single day. It's an integral part of the recruiting process now. You talk to AU coach, you talk to a high school coach, you talk to family members, you talk to the player, and you talk to their agent. Appropriately at 30 footers, are you actually gonna try for 30 plus threes a game? Yes. At SockDo_B, in key roster decisions like transfers, high school recruiting, NIL prioritization, who ultimately has the final say? I do. At _ All right, now, well, my bad. As you heard, he says this, Pope says the assistant coaches mostly deal with the NIL, agents with the NIL, and that scares me. Here's why that scares me. Because it scares Sophie too. Here's why it scares me. It's because I want a GM that is actually handling that. I don't want my assistant coaches out there negotiating the deals with these. Johnny Five, thank you so much for the share. I don't want that. Because these agents, like, now you could say Mo, and I'm perfectly fine because Mo kind of probably would know the room because he's been in the league about 12, 15 years plus. So he kind of knows the lay of the land. But these other coaches, I just don't know. I don't know if I really, really like the fact that these assistant coaches are the ones that actually are kind of negotiating these NIL, agents with the NIL process. I don't like that. That's where I say the GM is very, very important because he's the one that knows about these deals, knows how to talk to these agents. Like I said a couple shows ago, that's like Mark Pope trying to discuss business with Rich Paul from Clutch Sports. Rich Paul is going to put Mark Pope in a blender if we're talking about negotiations. And it is what it is. So I don't understand what Mark Pope's whole thing is about hiring a GM, wanting to do this way. Hey, this is his program. I'm going to support Mark Pope no matter what he does, but I'm also going to have my opinions about that. I'm also going to be able to speak my mind about what I think about that. Just like I can, speak my mind about the roster. I can speak my mind about, his substitution. I'm going to speak my mind, but I'm still going to wish this team and everything, every player success. I'm not going to hate on it, but I'm going to speak my mind and be like, hey, what is really going on with this? I don't understand what his obsession is with not hiring a GM. I just don't know. It's weird. It really is weird to see Mark Pope literally not wanting to hire a GM. I mean, it really is. It really is. Let's go to what's it? Yeah. Let's go back to the roster as we see it right now. I'm gonna pull up the roster right now and let's kind of go by. Let's kind of go go in on what we think, this roster is as of right now. If we don't, like I said, if we don't get, if we don't bring back, Moreno, I still have my doubts. But what I do like about our team is we're a little bit more physical. I think this team is a little bit more physical than what we have as of right now. I mean, as of last year, it's a little bit more physical as of right now. So, okay, this is the roster as of right now. Zoom, I do like Zoom and Frank playing together. I do like that. That's a little bit of something that's went under the radar. That little camaraderie is very, very big. If Cam takes the step that his dad says he's going to, and we're hearing, I like it. But before anything, Braden is the biggest what if on the team right now. Now, we can say Moreno, but we know what Malachi can give us. We do know that. We know Malachi can give us, spurts of brilliance, but we do not know what he can give us right now. It is what it is. I want him to be amazing, like they say. I saw somebody say that he's like a Brandon Ingram type player. Okay, just slow you roll for a second. Slow you roll for a second. We gotta see it. We actually gotta see it, and I'm very, very intrigued by this young man. I'm very intrigued by what he can do. I've heard all the rumblings of he's got it. He's got he has it. B, thank you so much for the follow. But I want to see it. I'm excited. I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but I'm, because when you get your hopes up too much and you expect something, and when it's not what you expect, you kind of think it's a failure. I'm going in there with an open mind about that young man to see, what he can do. 6'8", 190. Hopefully he's put a little bit more weight on. I do know, listen to that interview, his dad said he did want to get, some weight. So I'd like to get him up to around the 200 mark, put some muscle on so he can, bang and, take that contact. Justin McBride, I think, is an amazing pickup as well. I think Justin will shock some people. I do believe that. I think Justin will do, mighty fine on the, as a backup. And one thing that we don't really give him credit for is he knows his role. And that's one thing I don't think last year a lot of players kind of didn't know their role. That was just my, my critique about last year is I don't think a lot of those players knew their role. It's kind of like, you have that star player, and then everyone else was kind of just finding their way, just kind of, just running around finding their way. And then Malachi came and said, hey, I got this. And then he was the second star of the team. Kind of faded out toward the end of the year. But like I said before, it's his freshman year. He's learning how to adapt to a tougher schedule than Great Crossing. And him coming into the fold was very, very big for us. So, this team, I think Mark Pope has to literally give, how can I say this? Roles. So let me say, like, when I was coaching at Tate's Creek, shout out to Gerard Gay. He is now the he's the associate head coach of Frederick Douglass now. When we had Tate's Creek for about 7 years, every year we would set every player down that was on varsity, and we literally gave them the role. Hey, this is what we see your role is. We want you to do it. Boop, boop, boop. And we would go down the line having a player meeting with every player and giving them their roles. Do I think, what about my guy, Payday Pat? He's cooking gold cards. Look, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you 502. If Pat loses with as much money as they have spent for that roster, well, they might burn down the city. They might burn down the city. Woo. Hey, but hey, from what I, like I said, from what I heard, y'all did that. Yeah. Hey, you right. Hey, now it's your turn. We passed it off. So, hey, now it's your turn. But no, I do think the 20 million is going to be the new norm. And a lot of teams won't say that they spent 20, 30 million. I hope not. Yo, hey, you remember that game we used to play back in elementary school? Tag, you're it. Kentucky took off running. Tag, you're it. We ran up to Louisville. Lexington ran up to Louisville, tagged, and we ran right back. 502. Thank you so much for the follow. Don't come back at me and tag Lexington. Don't you do it. Go to like Indiana or like Tennessee. Well, shit, Tennessee spent money too. Yeah, y'all go. Y'all run somewhere else. No tag backs. Remember, no tag backs. That's kind of like old school rules right there. But nah. Hey, was that photo real of Pat Kelsey with that daggone 6'2" young lady? I hope that wasn't real. When he was at the Derby, was that real? 502, please tell me that wasn't real. Because that was a great photo, though. That was a hilarious photo. Regardless, Cat fans still out there. Hey, I'm totally here with you. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm right here with you. I'm totally with you. I'm, like I said, if Malachi comes back, I'm excited. If he doesn't come back, I'm going to still rock with his team. Can't wait. Got bank in those. 502. I'm going to say this. I hope Usman plays. I really do too. I hope Usman pans out as well. And 502, I'm going to get back to you here in a second. I really do. I want to see him. But see, here's what scares me. T, thank you so much for the follow. Here's what scares me. And I'm just like everybody else. I get impatient sometimes with these players from overseas not being what I want them to be. And it kind of takes a little bit of time to adjust to the American style game compared to overseas. Like, let me give you an example. In overseas basketball, if the ball is on the rim, you can smack it off and it's not goaltending. Okay. There's so many different rules, like, especially like if somebody's screening somebody, you can't in the NBA and college, you can't kind of like get in between it. But over there, you can just get in between, some things. There's some different rule sets that the overseas players play by that does not come over here. So I kind of get a little bit frustrated seeing some of these overseas players not really adapt to the game right off the bat. That takes a while. And I hope Big Blue Nation kind of, slows it down to understand that he might not be what he should be game one. But I think as time goes on, hopefully he gets adjusted to the game and we get to see what he was doing overseas. That's just what I would like. That's just my opinion. Do you think we get another player who chooses to come back to college? Yes. If I am Pope, and we see his draft stock kind of staying around the middle, kind of going in the second round, I'm offering him a blank check. I'm doing what Louisville did. I'm offering blank checks to everybody. Okay, that's just. Hey, Kyle, thank you so much for the follow. I'm offering a blank check. Come here. We need you. You're only going to be here for 9 months. Get your draft stock together because guess what? We're going to play through him. There's no one else we're going to play through right now. We're going to play through him. He's going to be able to do what he needs to do to up his draft stock. And my pitch to him would be like, okay, I want you to up your draft stock, but I want you to up everyone else's draft stock as well. I want you to be that team player that's going to up everybody else and bring them along with you. Now, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Here's what pisses me off. I had to pay 20% of the price increase on my tickets. Damn, Megan, thank you so much for the follow. Damn. Hey, 502. I agree to a certain point that Pope isn't really the man for the job. but I have to give him the respect to show me this year. First year, amazing. Everything was cool. We sold out Rupp Arena. We had that feeling back in the city that we haven't had in a while. Last year, the bottom fell out. So this year, I'm going into the season of prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I want you to be the coach. I want to see him succeed, but prove me wrong about the bad PR. He kind of proved me wrong when he did the videos and all that. I like that. It was being more transparent. But I don't need him to shut down in the middle of the season and not say anything. I don't need him to, play these mind games. If he does that, he's out of here. But if he does what he did in his first year and coach with passion, coach with, heart, and not get into his head and make these crazy substitutions and do all that and win some games, go to the second weekend, I think he comes back and I'll be like, all right, I'm happy with that right now because it's a step forward. But if we lose first round, the NCAA, I think even if we lose in the second round, he's gone. And that's just my opinion. Love this. Glad you came across. Hey, much love. Thank you so much. We had an amazing moment last year, but they couldn't. Hold on. Okay. Now, Megan, let me say this. And don't take this with no disrespect. I don't mean no disrespect. We had amazing moments, but that also masked the fact that Mark Pope made terrible decisions. Think of it like this. The first round game, Otega hit the shot. It was an amazing shot. An amazing shot. Probably the top 4 shots in NCAA Kentucky ball history, okay? Amazing shot. But that masks the fact that Mark Pope made a terrible coaching job that whole game by not going down low. We had the size advantage, we had the better athletes, and he didn't use them. Now, you're right. Amazing moments, terrible coaching mistakes. So, Otega really in my opinion, Otega really, really, really bailed out Mark Pope most of that season. I totally believe that. Malachi and Otega literally saved Mark Pope because their will to win. And then Cam kind of toward that end part. It was kind of toward that end. He was coming along too. So, hey, I'm right there. I'm with you on that. I think there was some amazing moments, some feel-good moments. But I need Mark Pope to step up a little bit more than what he is now. So I agree with you, though. Should have wrote Ricky P. the Blake. No. I as much as I love this fanfare of, getting Billy D, getting Ricky P. Nah, I don't believe Rick should come back. That's just my opinion. We go. Malachi's probably going to get drafted. Well, it depends. Like I said before, it really depends on what he wants. If he wants to stay in the draft and, work his way from a contending team and, they're saying, hey, we want to build around you, I would not be mad at it. Because you have, like I said, you have the double-edged sword of coming back this next year with this roster right here and lowering your draft stock. But you can also come back and up your draft stock. So it's a weird spot to be in. Now, if you was in the lottery, you're gone. But you're in that lower first round, second round. It's a really tricky decision. But I see what you, Jennifer. Thank you so much for the follow. I'm a incredible guy. People finally learned his lesson is loading up on guards. Yeah, he is loading up on guards. He is, and I think Alex is going to be an amazing addition to this team. For any reason Pope gets fired, you think we can get Billy D? No, I don't think so. Tennessee will run the SEC next. They're loaded. God dang. There's always a Tennessee fan. Hey, I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to tell you this. Only Tennessee person I like is Chris Lofton. I love my guy. So no offense, Tennessee. That's the only guy I got nothing but love for is Chris Lofton. Shout out to Chris, man. Jacob, thank you so much for the follow. I wonder what Pope is doing to make these big recruits just move on. Well, I don't think it's all Pope. Okay, I don't think anything. Yeah, Hey, this is KSR, baby. This is all KSR's graphic, not me. Trust me, it's nowhere near me. I ain't gonna be able to do that. I see. Thank you so much for the follow, Robert. Thank you so much for the follow. This is all KSR shit. My graphic is right here. This is my graphic right here. You made it. Hey, hold up. I got you. You made it. I got you, partner. I got you. Here.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
That's you definitely get that. And you'll get a boom. There you go. You got a boom too. Nah. Hell of a graphic. Let's see. I love that. Big Tates Creek guy? Oh, what do you mean Big Tates Creek guy? What you know about Tates Creek? I'll be honest. I get hate all the time, but we should have kept count. Okay, hold up. You see, this is my graphic. I don't get nothing special like you got. Let me say this. I don't think we should have kept Cal. I love Cal. I think Cal, I've known Brad. I knew Brad when he was at LCA. I think Cal stayed a couple of years too long. And I think he lost his fire. And then going down to Arkansas, he got his fire back. It's kind of the thing of you have to be able to, you got to be able to kind of know what you had a little bit. When Cal first got here, we got all those recruits. That was kind of the standard. Now the NIL comes. Cal kind of didn't want to do it, but wanted to do it. Barnhart didn't want to do it. Now we're in a new era of a new AD. You got Mark Pope. It's kind of like figuring things out again. So I think Cal stayed a couple years too late, and now we're figuring out our identity again. That's just my opinion. That's just me. If I gets drafted, who's going to be our center? You can go three different ways. Honestly, you can't put Frank as the starting center. You just can't, because he gets injury. He's injury prone. 15 to 20 minutes max for him. I mean, you can go out there and maybe find a diamond in the rough, or you can play a small ball lineup. You can probably start Frank, but if you start Frank, I think we're going to be in trouble. That's just my opinion. If you start that. Go follow. Go. Hey, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. We played y'all. Okay. Football. So you played against Hawks and them. Hey, hopefully we won. No offense. No offense. Hey, Hillbilly, thank you so much for the follow. He can't. Well, I just run the YouTube channel, bro. Wait, he said I just run the YouTube. He said, whoa, I just run the YouTube channel. Hold up. He's the best recruiter, worst in the game. I mean, in my opinion, Quaintance could have made a difference if he played. Yeah, no, he definitely could have made a difference. But the thing is, you roll the dice. Anybody would have rolled the dice. If any coach out there who says they wouldn't roll the dice on Quaintance, they're freaking lying. I'm sorry, they're just lying. There's no way. Everyone's going to take that little chance. And I do believe that he wanted to play. He wasn't ready. Think about it like this. He came back and tried his hardest, and then his knee started to swell. He knew he was going to be in the draft next year. So I'm going to do what's best for me. I've got to do. At least he went out there and tried. How many players have we seen come through this program, not saying any names, didn't even try or quit? How many players have we seen do that? Plenty of players have done that. But at least he went out there and tried. So, I mean, you're right. It would have made it a little bit of difference. Shannon Sharp. Oh, Lord. Jesus Christ. What type of... We really going to do that? Don't make me start doing my N5 impressions. Oh, Shane, I was about to say it. Shane Sharp. Hey, well, I don't think he... Oh, I was about to say Shannon Sharp. I was about to say that's some bullshit. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that's some bullshit. Wait a second. Why are you calling me? Yeah. Shy. It's like... Well, we also got to think about this. especially in Cal's system. Cal's system, what Shea grew into this player. We knew it was flashes, but for him to actually be unleashed, the league is a lot different. It's a lot of space. It's so much space, and he really worked on this game. Like really, you knew he would be a superstar, but he didn't get the chance per se to here. Let's just be all the way. Yeah, exactly. He didn't get the chance to be the guy that is going to be there. Now that he is comfortable, and now especially in the league is so much different than college. If like I watched my guy. Okay, so I coached. I coached. And this is please don't judge this. I coached a guy in the AAU when I was with the Louisville Magic, and we was on the Adidas circuit. A guy named Ryan Kilbrenner. He played at Creighton. I knew he was going to be good, but with him being like a dominant force and being able to move and groove. Now he's playing with the Charlotte Hornets. His game has evolved a little bit more than what it was in college. So he took a bigger step in the NBA, and I'm very, very. I mean, you look at the players. Look at the Devin Booker. I mean, yeah, he hasn't accomplished as much as SGA, but look at him. You knew he was a knockdown shooter, but once he got in the league and you actually got to see what he could do, that was the thing with Cal's team. There was so much talent on those teams that everyone had to give up something to make sure that the team kind of had success. And everyone, now you can say success, they didn't win the championships. I understand that. But the success for them was getting to that next level in the NBA. That's just my opinion. That's just what I believe. Ortega deserves to be a first round. Oh, I don't know about first round. Craziest Booker's stats was he didn't shoot a single three against. Hey, yo, if you go back, Cal definitely got guys to the pros. You're right. He did get and that was the thing that a lot of people didn't agree with was he is a player first coach. And I'm not going to spend time on Cal because it's over with Cal, but he was a player's first coach, and he still wants those kids to go to the league. Like Matt says, Cal's Christmas is the NBA draft. It is what it is. But his winning percentage was trash. Why? I get what you're saying, and I totally get that. But I think Cal's to the point where he wants to make as many millionaires and billionaires as he can. That's just my thought. Yeah, winning's cool, and he wants the accolades, but I think his biggest thing was I want to make these kids' life change. And that's just it is what it is. And 100%. But Kentucky wants banners. You're right. And that's kind of where the friction is. He was great. Show one more time. But yeah, you see if you're 100% right. He won a lot more. Okay, let me say this. And this is going to be rough. He won more games than lost, right? Yes, should he have won banners? But you can't tell me. No one in here can tell me the first few years of Calipari being at Kentucky, there wasn't more exciting time. You can't tell me that. This place was buzzing. The restaurants were packed. You had Jay-Z in the front row. You had LeBron. You had so many people here with even Drake. Shout out to Iceman. Iceman's coming out Friday. But you can't tell me that wasn't the most exciting time. Now, here's the funny part is these high school recruits and these, recruits that we're recruiting doesn't know anything about that. They just see the St. Pete games. They just see literally the St. Pete games of Cal losing and, Cal walking the dog and all that. That's what they see. They don't understand how big it was when John Wall was here. DeMarcus Cousins was here. They didn't see that. This town was you couldn't walk 5 feet without seeing somebody in a blue shirt. We had a freaking documentary on ESPN. But I totally get, but I also know understand the fans side, and we want banners. We don't care about that. We want banners. So I understand. It was kind of like a give and take thing. So the Harrison twins were here, guys. But yeah, nah. Yeah, Cal made Kentucky cool, made it lit. Even kids might want to play in Kentucky. Yeah, like Cal made this place, and I guess because I don't. And this is just me. I don't really I don't really hate Cal. And I don't think anybody really hates Cal, because I think in a couple years when he retires, he's going to have his name in the rafters for what he did. But I think if Cal didn't come, where would Kentucky be right now? Oh, if Cal left in 2020, he would have a statue. Cal would have a statue. If he had gone into a different league, it would have been a different. I don't even think that. I don't even think it would have been if he went to a different league. I don't even think that. I think the toxicity between Cal and the fan base, and Cal and whoever you want to say, the athletic department, whatever you want to say, I think it was just getting too toxic. No matter where he went, people were still going to conference. Oh yeah. Mojo, thank you so much for the follow. I still think that no matter where he went, it was still going to be this. Now, if he went to the NBA, might have been a little bit different, but I don't think that anywhere Cal would have went, we would have still compared, Cal and Pope and all that. I truly believe that. And that's another thing about Pope that I just didn't get per se was toward the tail end of the season, well, at the end of the season, and we're doing comparisons and stuff, this is the things where I think the PR nightmare still goes on. I do like what he did with the questions, but I think he needs to leave that alone. Playing the villain doesn't suit Mark Pope, in my opinion. Playing the villain of, well, I've won this, when we got the program, that does not suit. Hey, Christian, thank you so much for the follow. I don't think that suits Mark Pope. We want the nerdy guy that we seen doing the cats. This is the guy we want. That's the guy we want. Now, is it the guy we need? That's two different topics. The guy we want that played for us, that hung the banner, or is it the guy we really need? That's the tale of two signs. That's the tale of two things that if we're really holding Kentucky to that standard, and just like we did Cal, of banner. That is, it's banner and nothing. It's a tricky situation. Pope is the coach we need. He's the coach. Well, yes and no. But I also think that if we was to say that from what we've heard, Duke, thank you so much for following. If let's just say this. Pope was always wanted this job. We know that. We know Pope wanted this job, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm grateful to see this. And we've heard it's either Pope or Shaka Smart. If we knew Pope was wanting this job and was going to take it no matter what, we could have waited 2 weeks to see what panned out. But from what people are saying out there, I kind of understand why we got the squeaky clean Mark Pope. I won't go into that, but I think it was a feel-good story that we want. I bet Baylor's coach wishes he hadn't listened to his wife now. Hey, y'all, the Big Blue Nation scared the crap out of them tracking that plane. But see, that's the other thing that I got to come to grips with is how crazy Big Blue Nation is, but I love it. But sometimes it kind of bites us in the butt a little bit. But every fan base is like that, though. Like, literally, I think, I'm not for sure. I think Matt Jones was literally on the freaking radio and he had a text saying where the plane was in the daggone air. Name another fan base that can do that. Now that's scary. Not scary, but that's kind of like, But like I said, I'm grateful for what we have the best fans. Well, Yes and no. I think Kentucky does have the best fans of all time of ever. I love them. I love the Big Blue Nation. Big Blue Nation is funny to me because there's not many fan bases in the world. Like, no, there's not. There's not. If we just rank craziness, and Cal said this too. Y'all fans are crazy. He's literally right. He's literally right. These fans are crazy, but these fans are passionate. You won't find another fan base out there that, okay, let me say this. And let me say this. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. It's not even, let me say this. You won't find another fan base out there that is willing to freaking go to the ends of the world for their players. I used to work at the Kentucky Basketball Academy back in the days. Jared Prickett owned it. And to see the fans, to see like customers come in and then Jared's there and see just how much he was loved. We had a lot of the UK players come in there from, Darius Miller and all that, just to see the love and just the sheer appreciation that they get. Even my guy, Brand in Canada, who, was a walk-on, still walks around Lexington and gets nothing but love. Like, probably, like, I'll even say Jerome Morton when he comes back. Another GRC guy that's going to come back and get that same fan, that same love as he's one of us. That's the thing is, no matter where you go, now, yes, we can say DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, whoever, when they come back, that's one of our guys. That's one of our guys. And that's a feeling that you don't get anywhere else, that he could go to the hollers of freaking Eastern Kentucky, and guess what? Cousin can sit down at any household and get a daggone meal. That's how much love that this fan base gives these players, and I totally love that. But you also got, like Steven said, there's a flip side to this. If you don't do good, you might not want to come back as much. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a give and take type thing. Bro, I wish you lived in Louisville. Would love to have you out on radio. Hey, thank you so much. Shoot. Hey, that's a 45-minute drive. Just saying. But I love the fact that this fan base. All right, I got you. I love the fact that this fan base has this type of love. Now, we'll go to Pope real quick again. If Pope was to get fired, which if you really think, no one has really got fired since Billy G. Billy G was the only person that really got fired. And I think it was Alan Cutler that chased him out of the building too, trying to get the interview, I think it was. Cal left. Tubby left. Everyone left, okay? Kyle, be good. No one wants that. I think even if Pope does not do well and it doesn't work out this year, he can still come back in a couple years. He can still come back. And he still will be loved. Now, there's going to be some people that's going to say, yeah, we ran him out, whatever. I don't care. Same way they say they ran Cal out, whatever. I don't care. I don't care about that part of the fan base. He can still come back because guess what? He has a banner. So that's why I say I think the love runs deep, but also the love runs hard. People love hard, right? Those girls and those guys that love hard and it's all about you and it's all about you. But then when you break their heart, they kind of step away. It's the same way with Big Blue Nation. We love hard. There's no 50, 25, 30. There's none of that. It's 0 to 100. We love hard. We love so hard that it breaks our own heart because it's breaking a lot of people's heart to see that Mark Pope is failing. These guys remember Mark Pope for being the captain. Remember him from doing all these things. So at the end of the day now, If he doesn't go good, it breaks your heart. But hey, it's tough love. So I think at the end of the day, this roster right here that we see, will it hold up if we take him out and we add somebody else? I think we'll still be a 500 team. I hope. And from what I think, this is just me. From hearing, Braden's dad's his interview or whatnot, and Cam's dad, if Braden is what everyone's saying he's going to be, I think, I still think it's a 500 team. I still think that this team right here without Moreno, I do believe that, will be a middle of the pack team. I think Alex will take a big step. I'm really intrigued to watch Alex. That's my go-to guy right now is Alex. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, Kyle, thank you so much. Have a great day. People sleeping on Candace. See, okay. See, this is where I say, are they sleeping on Braden, or do they just not know? Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's get them both and let's ball. No, if we get all them both, I'll do the Tootsie Roll on top of that desk right here. I'll tell you that right now. But are we really sleeping on Braden, or do the fans just not know? We've heard, like I said, we've heard about the one-on-one games with the players and him thrashing everybody, but we also heard Mark Pope say, we have a Ferrari. So it kind of, I get what you're saying. Yeah, fans don't know. Fans see what we see on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. That's what fans see. Fans don't, like, I'll go back to the coaching, me coaching. Our fans didn't see the hard work these kids put in, okay? When I had a kid like Amari Taylor, who walked on at Moorhead and then went and then decided, he wanted to be more education based. They didn't see him at 2 a.m. getting shots up, right? David, thank you so much for the follow. They didn't see me and him in there grinding at 2 a.m. with his dad half asleep on the side in the gym. They didn't see those hours put in. So I totally agree that the fans are kind of sleeping on him. But until we get to see it, until we get to kind of get a glare of it, other than Big Blue Madness, the first practice, then kind of, kind of we can open our eyes up to be like, oh, shoot, they right. Because like I said, we've heard this before. We've heard Pope say that, yeah, we have a Ferrari. But you remember, the Ferrari kind of didn't have a good engine, and we kind of went 10 miles, broke down, went another 10 miles. So I think that if Cam can take that next step, that would be amazing. And if Braden is what they see is, I think it's gonna be amazing. I think that it will be cool to see him actually out there hooping. I think people are sleeping on Justin too. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Justin McBride. I think Justin McBride's going to be very, very good for us. I also believe that. I think Justin's going to be a big, help to us. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be the star, but I think he's going to be a really good player coming off the bench. But also Jerome. I think having a good backup like Jerome, Jerome's going to be very good too. Having a good backup that actually can handle the ball, shoot the three, and not be turnover prone. I like that. So he knows his role, and that was the big thing that I didn't think Pope did a good job of defining roles last year. And so to do that now and define the roles of each player, like Frank knows he's coming off the bench. Justin knows he's coming off the bench. Jerome knows he's coming off the bench. Hey, Ronald, thank you so much for the heart me. They know the roles, and now they can fine tune them, just like in the NBA. Everyone has the roles, now these guys know the roles and they're going to be able to do them to perfection. I'm excited about that. I think that's good. That's big already for them. So we kind of got to see, where the roster ends up. I think, like I said, I think it's the 27th or 29th is when we'll find out when Malachi actually is going to, find out what the deadline, find what he's going to do. But like you said, if we get all those crews, Libby, thank you so much for the likes. I think it's going to be a really good thing. If we get to see Braden out there, doing his thing, I do, in my opinion, I do love Kobe. Thank you so much for the follow. I do like the Zoom and Alex, combo. I think that combo is going to be very, very scary. Go, Cat. You daggone right. Here you go. All day, every day. Daggone right. But yeah, I think that right there, I think that combo right there of Zoom and Alex is going to be really, really scary. Once they figure out how to play off each other, once they figure out how to, navigate, and I hope, this is my hope, that Pope kind of lets them play. I don't want Pope kind of, reeling them back. I want them to be able to just get the ball out and go. 33s a game, whatever. I don't really worry about that. I just want them to get out and play. I want them to have a little bit more free flowing, just being able to pass and go. What like I did in last week, showing how Malachi was rim running, getting easy buckets. Frank was rim running, getting easy buckets. Like I really, bro, is this?
That's right.
Oh, you are wild. You are wild. Hey, man. Shit, if I had that much money, I won't be on here. I'll tell you that right now. No, I'll take it back. I still would probably be on here. That's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I think this roster could be, updated a little bit more, but we're all in limbo between what's going to happen between now and the 27th and 29th. We'll figure that out as we go. Guys, like I said before, I wanted to hop on here. I couldn't hop on yesterday. My mom's having surgery, so I couldn't do it yesterday. So I wanted to hop on here this morning and kind of, just give y'all another, talk to y'all, give you my thoughts. We will be back Saturday at 7. I'm sorry. We'll be back Sunday at 12 to talk about, everything that's happened during the week. We're still going to do the two. Kim, thank you so much for the follow. We're still going to do the two shows a week. I will be having here soon, once the roster kind of gets finalized, I will be having like a couple of the former players. I'll have a couple of the athletic directors from others and coaches coming on here. I've got a couple of interviews lined up as well, guys, but I just want to say, hey, hey, thank y'all so much for everything. I will be back, like I said, Sunday morning. Love y'all. Thank y'all for everything. Peace.